So we're expecting to have D Tigers captain Ike Diogu. We're waiting for him to join us, but we'll just stay in the line of the Olympics as we take a look at Team Nigeria and some of their performances in Tokyo. Basketball, I remember when we talked about it, basketball was one event where we're hoping to make a statement, particularly with the sort of form that the D Tigers showed us before they went there, beating the United States of America and then doing, I think, also defeated. They lost to only Australia. And we're expecting they defeated Argentina, and they were expecting that they would do big things at the Olympics, but it didn't happen that way. So we will review basketball. Hopefully, we'll get Ike Diogu to join us. If he doesn't join us, well, let's just talk quickly about the D Tigers at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. For me, guys, that first game against Australia, and I'm sure Bolu, you would agree with me, with what we saw in Las Vegas, we knew that we could tweak tactics against the Boomers. And at halftime, it was Nigeria 40, Australia 43. Surprise, surprise, that game ended Nigeria 67, Australia 84. Bolu, were you disappointed?
Australia, after playing them in the first game, losing like a huge margin, I thought maybe they could fight harder and push harder in the second game. But what happened to them in the exhibition game? Similar thing happened again. Poor turnovers, poor shooting. They had about 50% of their free throws. And if you want to win any basketball game, especially your free throws, you have to take chances. Yes, Jordan Nwora came up, beautiful game, had about 30 points. But again, basketball is a team sport. If you have 100 points and your teammates don't step up, you still end up losing. The excuse or the good news men are thinking is this a young squad, and hopefully over the years, maybe by 24, 28, we'll gather around. But in this Olympics, starting from their first game, I think I was more disappointed in the result.
All right, and I mean, the thoughts echoed across, and hopefully when we get the next chance, if we can keep this team together, maybe we'll perform better.
That's the interesting thing, actually, keeping them together.
I guess Austin agrees as well.
Yeah, it's very important that we keep this team together, because I think they showed some brilliance. They showed that they could fight. I was particularly expecting them to win that game against Germany. I still think that if they go back to look at it, they will ask a lot of questions. Hopefully, Ike Diogu has been there, done that with basketball in Nigeria. We'll be able to, give us some insight into that. But then again, it's kudos to Coach Mike Brown for the short time he jumped into the job, trying to put these guys together. They're professionals. They have NBA experience. I know a lot of persons will ask questions now about their experience, particularly the way they lost the final game against Italy. But in this world of sports, these things happen. So we'll continue to review basketball. Hopefully tomorrow jump into the D Tigers. But in all, before we get Ike Diogu, because he's trying to join us now, let me go back to Bolu. Bolu, when you look at the overall performance of the D Tigers, were you disappointed?
Well, for overall performance, like I said, I think their major challenges all through these Olympic Games was turnovers. And in basketball, you don't give that away. Then their shooting, we saw them before now. Their shooting was very good in the exhibition games. I don't know, some say maybe the stage was too big for them. Olympics is completely different from the NBA. These guys have experience. They are NBA playoff winners, especially Jordan Nwora and the squad. But sometimes when you gather your squad in a short while, it affect you sometimes, and I think that's one of the things that got to them. Yes, they got together in about a week or two in the exhibition game, played 1 or 2, but it's a completely different ball game against guys that have been playing together probably for 3-4 years in Australia, Italy, and Germany. But again, like what we've all agreed, they need to keep these guys together. They need to keep Mike Brown. Don't forget, Alex Nwora is also on the sideline. So if these guys keep working together, no matter how bad you can be, if you work together as a team for 3 years, you should produce positive results. So overall, maybe a bit of disappointment, but I'm looking at the lights at the end of the tunnel. They keep these guys together with the experience they have. We should have probably positive results come 2024 in the Olympic Games in Paris.
I'll stay with you. I'll stay with you. I think Jordan Nwora got us talking. Who was your standout player in that D Tigers team?
Well, basketball is majorly about numbers. And if Jordan Nwora come up with some numbers, you have no choice. You have to call him out. And even before the Olympic Games, I was really happy for him. He made the cut. Many or some fans are always talking about his father was the coach. That's why he gets the cut. Remember, I missed out on the NBA draft the year before due to some reasons. Then happily got the draft the following year. He won the NBA with the Bucks. And now he's in the squad, turning out impressive numbers. It's tournament I have 33 in the game. I think my best player for the Tigers is definitely Jordan Nwora.
Jordan Nwora for me
okay.
also, because I think he
All right.
showed the sort of character that we needed to see right there at the Olympics. But not to take away team performance, also some of the guys stepped up when they needed to step up. I don't know if Ike Diogu is ready for us. Let's go to the United States.
Yeah, I think he is.
Of America. He's got some good experience. We're also expected to see him right there in Tokyo, but he wasn't part of the team. But I'm sure he's got one or two things to talk about. Sporty greetings, champ. Good to have you on the show.
Thank you. Good to be on the show.
All right, and I must say thank you once again, because it was short notice. You got out of training and you're here. That's champion mentality. Thank you so much. We're reviewing the D Tigers at the Tokyo Olympics. I've been reading about you just before the Olympics, and you were so pumped up to be at that Olympics. Let's start with you. How do you feel not being part of that team?
Well, it was very disappointing. I trained really hard, obviously. I put my heart and soul into playing for the national team, and representing Nigeria means a lot to me. So I wasn't very happy with the decision that was made. But once the decision was made, then I had to focus my attention on supporting the team, because at that point I didn't want to become a distraction. So I was very happy for the guys. But obviously, I guess you could say for selfish reasons, I really felt that in the games that there was just a couple of things missing that I felt that I could have provided for our team.
Yeah. Tell me the number of times you were like, if I was in this team, I would have made a difference.
Well, I know I would have made a difference, just because, experience is the best teacher. And this would have been my third Olympics. I'm very familiar with the international competition, and I'm very familiar with, executing down the stretch. That's how you win these games against these European teams. And I think that was the only thing that was missing. We had a really talented team, but a very inexperienced team. And I think that inexperience is what allowed us not to close out the games and wins that we should have had. Because in my opinion, the team easily could have been 3-0.
Let's begin with the first game against the Boomers of Australia. In Las Vegas, I thought we did enough to cover the spaces, show that we could compete. But I didn't see that at the Tokyo Olympics proper. At halftime, it was Nigeria 40, Australia 43. Are you disappointed with the way the D Tigers lost that one?
Well, there was a lot of things that went into that game in terms of the whole traveling and how long it took them to get to the village, and they didn't really have enough time. And there was some other things going on with not everybody having credentials and having to run practice on their own. So you have to factor all those things in. So it didn't really help that all those things happened when you're preparing for one of the best teams in the world. But even then, still, I thought defensively they played well enough to win the game. It was the offense that really hurt them that time. But defensively, they did a lot of really good things. And they showed their capability on why they're one of the best athletic teams in the world. It was just offensively just wasn't really a good showing. So that's why that game kind of got out of hand. But if you look at it defensively, they actually played really well.
I thought so. I thought so too. They gave it a good start. But against Germany, how unrealistic was it for them to lose that match?
Well, Germany was a tough one. Germany was tough. Italy was tough. It was kind of the same games. You get up in the third quarter, and there comes a time when you need to slow the game down and really value the possessions, and kind of grind out that victory. And it's one of those things that comes with leadership, obviously, veteran leadership, and we didn't really have that per se, only because, like I said, the team was really young, and that's what happened. We made a couple of young mistakes, but it's going to serve us well in the future. The team is really, really, really talented. So, they'll have to learn from their mistakes. But obviously, I just felt like the field in Tokyo was really wide open. I didn't really feel like there was a clear-cut favorite to win. I felt like all the teams were pretty much on the same level. So for me, it's a missed opportunity because we were talented enough and we were good enough to get a medal.
Yeah. Talk to me, champ. Against Italy, I was gutted, to be sincere. What could have been done differently to win that match against the Italians?
Game went down to the wire. Like I said, when you get into these competitions and you get into the fourth quarter, the guys that you're playing against are real experienced guys. And, it sounds cliche what I'm saying, but I just think it just came down to experience. I felt like we relied a little bit too much on the three ball, even though we had a really good inside player like Jalil. I think we could have run some more stuff for him, so we're just not so heavily relying on the three-point shot. That's just my opinion. I felt like he was really unstoppable during that game. And, I think that's just what happened against Italy. It was definitely a heartbreaking loss. I mean, you can go back to a couple of possessions, missed free throws. We didn't do a good job hitting free throws. So it was just a bunch of just little stuff mentally, really. Just little stuff that just adds up at the end of the game. And unfortunately, that was the game that knocked us out.
Yeah. So you've mentioned leadership as part of the problem, because at some point you look at some direction and you say, where is the team going? I also identified shooting as part of the problems that they had at the competition. What else did you see that was wrong with the D Tigers?
That was pretty much it for me, because I felt like they had everything. Athleticism is off the charts. They got a lot of guys that can play a lot of different positions, a lot of young, talented scorers, inside, outside. The team really has everything. But there's always going to be some point and some time in the game where you need one of your leaders that's been there, that's been through the fire before, to really help these guys, push through to the finish line. Because a lot of these guys, like I said, they're very talented players, and they are NBA players, but you don't have any experience playing international basketball. And this is not the NBA. This is a different style of basketball. Everything is different. So everything that you know in the NBA, you have to throw all that out the window because it doesn't apply to international basketball. I think there's a reason why, there's only one team, which is, obviously the USA, but all these other teams that win, they don't have very many NBA players because the game is different. And that's just the way it goes. The game is just different. And, you have to value guys that have been there before and that have been through the fire. And, we've the guys that have helped qualify for these previous Olympic teams, we know what it takes. We've won some big games too. You can't discredit that. We've won some really big games against some really good teams. And I just felt like that was the only thing that was really missing. And we had some guys, obviously, Efe Udoh. I don't think people really take into account just how accomplished he really is, because that's a EuroLeague Final Four MVP. And, I don't know. I wasn't there, obviously, so I don't know what his relationship with everybody was. But, guys like that are definitely valuable.
Yeah. Yeah. Who was your standout player? You need to tell me why.
I would say Jordan. I think everybody would agree with Jordan. I feel like Jordan is the next face, really, of Nigerian basketball. He's a very talented guy. He can score the ball. He can score the ball very effectively. He can do a lot of different things. And he really is a tough matchup for people because he's big. He's 6'8", 6'9", can really shoot, can go off the dribble. He's athletic. So I thought he played really well. He played well in the World Championships 2 years ago, really well. And, he's just been growing by leaps and bounds. So obviously Jordan.
Yeah, I thought so too. So I'm thinking like the champ. What's your take on Coach Mike Brown?
I thought Mike Brown did a good job. He did a good job of putting together a really good team, a really exciting team that if they stick together for years to come will be a force to be reckoned with, not only in Africa but worldwide. Obviously, I think it was his first taste of international basketball. And I think there was probably some things that he had to deal with on the outside that kind of affected everything. Because when you go to a tournament like this, your sole focus needs to be strictly on basketball. You don't need to worry about credentials, or you don't need to worry about anything other than basketball, because the tournament is that tough that if you take your attention off from basketball, then, you know, it really does you a disservice. So I thought he did a really good job, especially given the circumstances. So, you know, hopefully he remains in Nigeria for years to come.
Nice. Ike Diogo, before I let you go, what's next for you? Are we still going to see you play for Nigeria?
That's a tough question. I don't know. You know, people know how I feel about Nigeria. You know, pretty much for 10 years, you know, I gave my heart and soul to Nigeria. And, you know, I'm always going to be, well, first off, I'm a Nigerian through and through. So, you know, but the decision makers and the people in charge have gone a different direction. And I respect that. You know, there's some really young, exciting, talented guys. So I'm going to continue to support. And if they need me, I'll be available.
Thank you so much, Champ, for talking to us tonight. It's afternoon in the United States. I'll get to speak to you again, and you will answer this last question for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so that's it. We're going to say former D Tigers captain Ike Diogo speaking to us on the show as regards Nigeria at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. Let me go back to Lagos, Yemi and Bolu. I'm sure you guys heard everything he talked about.
All right. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to add. A lot of interesting things. Nice interview, by the way. We need to go on a break right about now. When we return from that break, still so much for you on Sports Tonight. Join us again.